All right, good morning, good morning. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's live stream. Today is February 6th, 2025. And to begin our live stream today, I do want to take a look at the economic calendar here. So, Thursday, we have unemployment claims at 8:30 a.m. We have FOMC Waller speaks at 2:30, but the most important one that we want to take a look at is this one, the unemployment claims, because that one is the red folder, right? That's the one that's going to bring in the most volatility into the markets. So with that, let's take a look at the charts here. On the daily time frame, I believe that we have already completed the daily objective. And the daily objective coming into today was previous day high. So previous day high here was the daily objective because of how we closed here on this daily candle. So this up close candle here, right? This is the daily high. I'll denote that as a green line. And this is the daily low, or I guess previous day low. And based on how we closed here on this daily candle, just simply based on how we closed, there's no other tool that I use. It's just based on how we closed here. What can I anticipate that next daily candle to do? I can anticipate for the next daily candle, which is today, to take out previous day high, right? So this is where we closed, denoted by the blue line. So is the blue line closer to the red line, or is it closer to the green line? Objectively speaking, the blue line is relatively closer to the green line, right? So that means that I can anticipate that next daily candle to take out previous day high, just simply based off of that. So it's a pretty easy concept to grasp, but you have to understand that there's more confluence. There are more confluences to that than just simply looking at how the candle closed. But that's kind of a very dumbed down version of how I view prices. So because I'm anticipating the next daily candle to take out previous day high, what can I anticipate the candle to look like to take out previous day high, right? I can anticipate for the next daily, or I guess today's candle, to be a open. We manipulate lower somewhere. We take out the high, and then afterwards we could expand higher, we could reverse. It doesn't matter to me because the objective that I'm shooting for is only previous day high. So after we take out previous day high, I no longer have a daily objective, right? I no longer have a daily bias. However, even if I can't use the daily time frame for some sort of bias, right, or anything like that, I could, however, go onto the intraday time frames. So the intraday time frames here, what I mean by that is based on the 4-hour candle, the 6-hour candle, the 8-hour candle, and the 10-hour candle. All of those candles have an objective, right? Because prices is fractal, that means that you can find an objective within any candle. Any candle has an objective. Every single candle has an objective, right? So here, coming into the morning, I do want to pay attention to how we close here on this 4-hour candle and this 8-hour candle. Because once we close here on this 8-hour candle and this 4-hour candle, I will have an objective, right? So I'm just going to wait for the first 30 minutes of the morning bell. So after 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, or 9:30 I guess, I wait until 10 o'clock Eastern time until the 4-hour candle and the 8-hour candle closes. That's kind of essential. That's essentially why I wait the first 30 minutes. And like ICT states, it's relatively it's just You don't want to concern yourself with the first 30 minutes because it's a little bit more volatile. It's just it's just very like sporadic movements. Sometimes it could be clean, but I just, for myself, I just have this rule where I don't trade the first 30 minutes. But yeah, that would be my morning objective coming to today. Depending on, like I said, depending on how we close here on the 4-hour candle and this 8-hour candle, I will have a more descriptive narrative on how I want to see prices this morning. But yeah, as of right now, I'm just going to sit on my hands. Yesterday we did have a pretty large expansion, to be honest. Was about a 370 point move here on NQ, which is a decent amount, right? Not really. Wasn't really anticipating much for the weekly time frame this week, but with the way that we're kind of closing here, I could anticipate for us. Well, that's for future video. To be honest, we haven't exactly closed here yet on the weekly time frame, but keep in mind that we are going to today is, or this week is NFP week, so it is a little bit more manipulative, right, than usual. Because here, like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, have we set the low of the month here yet, right? Because we just opened up here on the monthly candle. So like this week, did we create the low of the monthly? Did we create the low on the monthly candle time frame at least? I mean, we could have. I'm not entirely too sure, but if we take a look at the charts here on the bigger time frame, at least, look at how we're just like, it's pretty back and forth trading, right? Trade lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher, lower, higher. And if I were to move this from, so you guys can see the actual, this is what we did. It's pretty choppy here, at least on the daily time frame. Kind of interesting where we're at, to be honest. But this is just on the daily time frame here. Even if we might be consolidating on the daily time frame, we could be expanding or something like that on the lower time frames. Like I said, because of the fractality nature of the markets, you're able to apply those concepts, the fair value gaps, the power of three, all of those concepts through every single time frame, right? Because time is so fractal. So even if we're consolidating here on the daily time frame, there are times whenever I'm presented with a strategy that like is pretty clean, right? But that's going to occur on the lower time frames. If I were to only trade the daily time frame, I wouldn't necessarily be too fond of it right now, right? Because what are we doing? Consolidating, right? But like I said, because of the fractality nature of the markets, fractal nature, I'm able to go on to the daily time frame. I mean, go on to other time frames besides the daily time frame. But yeah, I mean, continue to practice that patience. There's really no need for you to force anything here onto the markets. If you're not completely sure of the current objective of what prices wants to do, then there's no need for you to really push anything, right? Like I said, whenever a daily objective has been met, I simply just sit on my hands, wait until the next daily candle forms, right? But yeah, there's no need for you to force anything here. Alright, so I did want to go over the trade, the pros and cons here with you guys from previous day. So, or not previous day, but previous week, sorry. So some of the pros and cons here from previous week, I was able to maintain a consistent model and consistent trades throughout last week, right? Every single trade that I took, I had a higher time frame objective. I had a model, and I had an entry pattern. I had some sort of fair value gap to enter off of, right? All of those components to my trades were met, and that allows me, like I said, because all of those components were met, and I'm practicing the discipline to only take trades that meet my criteria, that builds my consistency, right? That builds my level of understanding of how I execute. And that consistency, that way of executing is what's going to help you, and that's only going to benefit me in the future, right? The outcome of the trade isn't going to necessarily benefit me in any way in the future. However, I mean, I guess the outcome does benefit in the short term wise, but long term wise here, the only thing that's going to help is how you're able to maintain that level of consistency and discipline for your strategy and the way that you execute, right? And keep in mind, there are only a limited amount of things that you are in control of, and there are a limited amount of things that you are not in control of. One of the things that you are not in control of, that you're certain that you're in control of, right, is, like I said, the outcome of the trade. You're not entirely 100% sure whether or not prices are going to go up or down, right? There's always going to be a underlying risk. However, understanding when and how to execute, that's in your control, right? For me, like, imagining it like this, the very last thing whenever you find out, you get your trade strategy, everything is there, right? The last thing that you have to do is press that button, and you're the only one that can do the pressing of the button, right? So just like I said, continue to keep in mind the things that you can't control. Practice that consistency throughout every single one of your trades, and imagine as if someone were to ask you, like, why did you take this trade? If you can explain to them clearly on why, then that's a good indication that you know what you're doing, right? That you know your strategy and you're following it to a T. But if you were to explain, like, oh yeah, I took this trade here because of this idea here. I didn't have an entry pattern, but I just kind of just took it because I was so certain that prices were going to do this certain thing. That's the wrong way of approaching it, right? The first thing here is that you're never certain. You can never be certain of where prices wants to go, because that's setting a clear expectation of markets, right? However, the markets are not, like I said, they're not in your control. Second thing, you're not following your strategy to a T. If you don't have an entry pattern here, for me at least, if I don't have an entry pattern, there's no reason for me to take that trade if there's no entry pattern. If there's one of those components that are missing in my strategy or present in the trade, I'm not going to take it at all. I'm just going to simply sit on my hands. And even if the trade plays out and according to how I wanted to see prices, what I wanted to see prices do, but I wasn't able to be a part of it, that's completely fine. Find acceptance with that, right? Second thing here, understanding time frame alignment. Time frame alignment is whenever here, so it's better to show you guys with the actual charts than just like saying it. So time frame alignment is, think of it like this. So this 6 hour time frame candle right here, right? with the way that we close here on the 6-hour candle, refer back to how I analyzed the daily time frame. Based on the way that we close here on the 6-hour candle, I can anticipate for us to take out the 6-hour candle's high, right? That's the bare minimum of what I want to see prices do. So for the next 6 hours, I am bullish. I have a bullish bias. For the hourly time frame, however, so whenever we close on the 6-hour time frame, we also close on an hourly time frame, an hourly candle. However, based on how we closed here on this hourly candle, I can anticipate for us to take out the previous hourly low and possibly rebalance into this inefficiency here. So is the hourly time frame, which is bearish, in alignment with the 6-hour time frame, which is bullish? No, it's not. There's no alignment, right? One time frame is suggesting lower while the other is suggesting higher. So there's no alignment here. So what I did, I waited until the hourly time frame aligns itself with the 6-hour time frame. So here on the next slide, you will see that we trade into this hourly inefficiency here. We respect the inefficiency and we create a bullish up close hourly candle. So this hourly candle here now is bullish. This 6-hour candle here is bullish. So now there's time frame alignment, right? The hourly and the 6-hour are now in tandem with each other. That means that we should respect the higher time frame, which is the 6-hour time frame in this case, to continue higher. So that's kind of basically a breakdown of what time frame alignment is, and it requires you to not stay focused on multiple time frames, right? The last thing here from last week is to be able to remain patient. So that example that I just showed you guys here, there was a time window. It took about 3 hours for the time frames to align with each other, right? Do you have that level of patience to where you're able to practice that, right? So because I was able to wait for my strategy to present itself, that only increases the probability for the outcome of my trade. Like I said, it's never certain, but the probability could increase. Never to 100%, however. But yeah, because I was able to remain patient, I stayed focused onto my strategy. I stayed disciplined. And yeah, so it's about to be 8:50, just turned 8:50. And I do want to go back to the charts here with you guys just to show you guys, or just to see what's happening. So here, like I said, 10 minutes left until we close here on this 4-hour candle and this 8-hour candle. I want to see us respect this like 12-hour inefficiency here and this 8-hour inefficiency to continue higher. So if we create a bullish up close candle, or I'm sorry, a bear or bullish up close 8-hour candle, that means I would know why we created it. Because look, we opened up here, right? We opened up here. We rebalanced. We traded back inside a 8-hour fair value gap. And if we create a bullish up close candle, then it's reasonable. I know why we created that candle now, because we traded back into an 8-hour inefficiency. And we created that bullish up close candle. There's a reason why we created that bullish candle. But yeah, I want to see us respect this 8-hour inefficiency to possibly continue higher. So let's see here. On the 15-minute time frame and the 1-minute time frame here, We still have plenty lows here intact, but yeah, I do want to see us kind of create that bullish candle, like I said, on the 8-hour time frame. So I'm just going to wait here. But I'm actually gonna move my charts to my other monitor just so I can log into my funded account. I can't have anybody joining it right me, right? I can't have anybody copying me now or stealing my account from me. Alright, so we're back, and like I said, I'm just going to wait until we close here on this 4-hour candle, and let's say that we complete the 4-hour objective, right? So let's just say that we take out the 4-hour high and we take out the 8-hour high. If we do that, my morning objective would be completed, and I'm just going to close the charts. It's very simple. I don't want to force anything once an objective has been completed, right? But let's continue to wait and see here. Notice how this 4-hour high is different than this 8-hour high. So the 8-hour high, I would denote that as a blue line, and the 4-hour high is the red line. So in this case, I am actually anticipating, if we continue to maintain this bullish stance, right? I am anticipating for us to take out the 4-hour high, do something like this, and then expand higher towards the 8-hour high. So this would be considered an expansion model because, like I said, my higher time frame, if I were to kind of frame a trade here, would be based on the 8-hour time frame. And the 8-hour time frame is suggesting to me that we're possibly going to continue higher, right? And to align myself with that specific time frame, the 8-hour time frame, I'm going to go onto the 4-hour time frame, the hourly time frame, to align myself with that. So here, like I said, if we were to close right now, then I would have tried to find an entry, model and stuff like that. But that's all hypothetical because we haven't exactly closed here on this 4-hour candle yet. But let's go back to the 8-hour time frame. So notice here we have that large 8-hour inefficiency, right? A fair value gap is created with 3 candles. So there's a first candle here, and I'll denote. So there's that first candle, second, and there's that third. So notice how this blue line here is the second fair value gaps candle's high. That blue line. If the current 8-hour candle closes below this blue line, I would treat this inefficiency as a gap that could be rebalanced within the next 8 hours. So if we close somewhere here, right? And on the next 8-hour candle, I could anticipate for us to rebalance this inefficiency once again. That's what I would anticipate if we close below this blue line. If we close, like I said, if we close below this blue line, I would treat this inefficiency as a gap that could be rebalanced. But if we close above this blue line, then I would treat the fair value gap as a breakaway gap, meaning I don't want to see prices trade back into it. So I'm just going to leave that blue line there just to indicate to you guys that just a visual representation, I guess. But yeah, 30 minutes left until we close here on the 4-hour time frame and the 8-hour time frame. Let's see if there's anybody on the YouTube. ES is suggesting lower prices and Q is suggesting higher. So there's like some sort of like SMT here right now. So notice how this hourly candle here on ES is creating a bullish candle. On NQ, its respective hourly candle is kind of giving me a like, I guess you can call it a doji, but it's not giving me a clear objective, right? So it's kind of interesting to see what prices are doing right now. So there's that SMT between the markets. As in like, ES is suggesting lower and Q is suggesting higher. Okay, I don't know why it's not loading, but let's just forget that. SMT here. So like I said, if we close here below this blue line, I would treat this 8-hour inefficiency as a gap that gets rebalanced. So let's just wait 30 more seconds. So let's see where we close here on this 8-hour candle. Alright, so we did indeed close below that blue line. So what am I anticipating now? This 8-hour inefficiency here, I want to see prices trade back into it. I could anticipate that. So I want to see us rebalance this inefficiency once more. It doesn't, I mean, we could end up taking out the 8-hour high. That could happen. But I want to see us rebalance this inefficiency because we close below this blue line. And we could continue to respect it, continue not. It doesn't really matter. But like I said, because we've closed below that blue line, I would treat that fair value gap as a gap that gets rebalanced. On the hourly time frame, I don't really have an objective here. It's too it's not clear. So yeah, I mean, not really clear for me. Not really a clear objective for me this morning. So I'm just gonna go back to the pros and cons. So I finished the pros earlier. So going into the cons here for this week. These aren't necessarily, I mean, they're trading related, but it doesn't only simply apply to trading only, right? These concepts that I'm about to talk about. So the first one is to align your thoughts in your actions with your goals and values, right? What do you value most in life? Is it freedom? Is it to be, what do you like to do? Like, what are some of your values, and what are your goals? Once you have a clear vision of what you want to do, right? Take meaningful action towards those goals and living the way that you want to live, right? Those values. So what I'm just trying to say here is, for me, I need to practice that mindfulness, that level of awareness to know what I'm doing what am I doing at all times, right? Is what I'm doing right now going to benefit me in any way? Is me, I don't know. Is me playing a video game going to benefit me? Is that something that I see myself doing in the future, or how is that going to benefit me in the future? I don't see any way where me playing a game is going to benefit me in the future. So that's just like one example, but I mean, it's just that playing games isn't just it isn't a value of mine. I mean, it could be for someone else's, but like I said, just continue to practice that mindfulness of that awareness of what you're thinking and what you're doing. Second, don't necessarily compare yourself, or don't compare yourself to another person, another like a situation. In today's, I guess, society and world, social media has made it so easy to know what other people are doing and how people just, I guess, function, right? It could be a bad thing, it could be a good thing, depending on how you view it. But in the general scheme of things, it's just don't compare. Comparison is only going to hurt you, and it really is the thief of joy, right? But yeah. So that's the pros and cons here for previous week. Some of the improvements here that I can make going into this week is to continue to take consistent models, to require that higher time frame objective, to require a model and an entry pattern for every single one of my trades that I take this week, right? Don't be hesitant to actually take your model, your trade, whenever it presents itself, right? You shouldn't be hesitant. You should be completely confident in your strategy that the long term, as long as you're able to execute, you'll be fine. Second, properly aligning timeframes. So like I said with you guys, how refer back to the example, right? Making sure that the hourly time frame aligns with the 6 hour time frame. That's time frame alignment. But like I said, you can do this on every single time frame, with the 15-minute to hourly, with the daily to weekly. Time frame is fractal, so that means these concepts are fractal. Third, practicing mindfulness. Be constantly aware of your thoughts and your actions. Make sure that they are going to benefit you or going to benefit the way that you see yourself in the future. And last thing here is aggressive trading. So, I mean, coming to, like I said, there's not really much I want to talk about here. At least right now, right? I mean, over time we might create new structure, but currently I don't really have much I want to say anymore, at least on the charts here. I don't want to force anything. There's no need for me to force anything. So the last thing I do want to go over with you guys here is the daily stoicism quote. Disney has pretty Disney motivational quote by Walt Disney. The way to get started is to quit talking and to start doing. Action over words. Success doesn't come from endlessly planning and waiting for the perfect moment. It comes from taking the first step. Yeah, bye, man. Second, to overcome procrastination. Many people delay their dreams because of fear, doubt. The key is to start no matter how small the step is. Turn your ideas into reality. Walt Disney built an empire not just by imagining it, but by acting on his vision every single day. Your dreams require the same dedication, so stay disciplined, stay consistent with whatever you're working towards, right? Always never give up and always continue to work towards it. Have complete confidence that it will come true. Reflection question. What is one action, no matter how small, you can take today to move closer to your goals? Bye, man! Alright, so that's going to wrap it up here for today's live stream. I post these quotes here every single day here on the YouTube. So if you guys do want to check it out, you guys can. It will be in the link, or it'll be in my bio. But yeah, that's going to be all today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until